think it really surprised me how much I love living a simpler life. I would never in a million years have looked down the road and saw myself in a tiny house. It didn't even cross my mind. I just love the concept that I know everything I have in my house and it all has a purpose. It's all something I've chosen to have. Our objects that we own are weight. Even though we may not think of them as weight, they actually are emotional weight. It really is this thing where we own so much that we don't need. Ultimately, I think it's so freeing to live this way, and I don't miss those things at all. It's interesting to walk in a store and know I'm not going to buy any of these things because I don't need them. And it's given me just a completely different perspective on life. And actually, I feel like I'm a minimalist in all the areas of my life. So the tiny house is one area, but it's really spread. It's like seeped into all the areas of my relationships, the way I think about work, the way I really think about life. Hi, my name is Kari Gale, and we're here at my tiny house in beautiful Portland, Oregon. I've been living in my tiny house a little over 7 years. The design was by my dad, who was an architect, with a little bit of input from me. The dimensions of the house are 24 feet long by 8.5 feet wide. I decided to hire a contractor, but I built it with him. I actually was the unskilled labor on the work site. So my house is incredibly really close to downtown Portland. I'm here in this gorgeous property. My friend Tom owns the house and the property, and he graciously allowed me to park my tiny house in his front yard. So you can see that the exterior is metal, and I chose metal because it's a very hardy, rain-resistant material for here in Portland, which we have a ton of rain. I also chose the colors to really blend into the landscape because I wanted the house to kind of almost disappear on the property and not stand out. So I'd love for you to come inside and join me in my tiny house. As you can see, I have the doors wide open, which is really great on a beautiful summer day like this. I get to enjoy the garden and the sunshine, and it really makes the house feel really wide and open. So, welcome to my tiny home. So my tiny home is just under 200 square feet. You can see that it's very light and open, and I used very neutral colors. I really love Scandinavian design and Japanese design, so I was really trying to evoke that feeling. One of the things that was important for me is to have these really tall ceilings because I'm 6'3" tall. So I couldn't have a loft folks tend to do above a kitchen. So what I have here is a bed that can move up and down with a remote control. So I have my lounge below it, and then I have my bed above. So one of the things that was really important to me when I decided what things I was going to have in my tiny house was that every object, every book, every piece of art was really meaningful to me. So that was one of the things that was really helpful as I was deciding what to bring into the house, is that the pieces would have a special memory or be attached to a person that I loved. One of the things that I love is that it was quite a family project. So you can see my couch was made with this beautiful fabric. My mom actually did all the upholstery and made all of that for me. I love the fact that the couch is also storage. In each one of these boxes underneath, I can store winter clothes, I have photo albums, I have all those things that would probably go in your garage. One of the things that I think is really essential for a tiny home is really good blinds. I have ones that raise and lower from the top and from the bottom. This allows you to really customize your light and also customize your privacy as you need it. So my bed is one of the most unique things in my tiny house. It was really designed to look good as it is above the living room or below as when it's set up as a bed. When I want to lower the bed, I remove the pillows from the couch, and then I undo the latches in the 3 spots, and then I use my remote control to bring the bed down. I have to put in a support leg for the 4th corner, and once it's down in position, it's super stable and it works great. When I want to bring it up, everything just goes in reverse. So over here is my kitchen, and one of the things you'll notice first is the incredibly high countertops. I made these 42 inches tall because I am very tall and I was tired of bending over to do dishes. So I love this, and I love this countertop. It was a very inexpensive find, so I customized the kitchen to be able to fit one slab, and that saved me a lot of money. So here you see my stove. It's an RV stove. This is one of the things, if I was doing it all over again, I probably would switch. I think I just have a cooktop, and I might get an air fryer and have a space designed just for the air fryer. I hardly ever use the actual stove, but that's something I would recommend, is think about what kind of cooking you do. If you're a huge baker, of course you're going to want to have a stove, but I am not a baker. I am a buy your pastry kind of girl. So over here, I have my sink, and this is also something that I recommend, is a very deep sink. I can put all my dishes in here and actually dry them in that sink. Don't skimp on sink size. You'll notice that all my cabinetry is a really pale wood. It is a Russian birch, and I loved it so much I really wanted that to be the highlight. I also didn't want to have anything kind of impeding my movement in the tiny house, so you'll notice that I don't have handles on my drawers and cabinets. I have a little notch that's cut out of the side of the cabinet that makes it easy for drawers to move in and out. I don't miss the handles at all. I have one custom built cabinet above my stove, and in it you can see I have a variety of things. A custom built cupboard for my only appliance, which is my Vitamix. And then I have this little space here, and because I'm so tall, I decided to make it my spice rack, which makes it so that I'm the only person that can ever get my spices. You'll notice this space here, which doesn't have anything in it, and that's because there's a hood vent underneath. It is very important in a tiny home, very, very important to have your stove vented, I believe. If I could make this 3-4 times stronger, I would. Sometimes I have to deal with residue on my ceiling, grease and residue, and I have to clean that more regularly than I would like. So I would recommend, when you're doing your build, that you put the strongest, biggest, boldest fan that you can possibly afford into your house.
Have you noticed that everything these days seems to be packed with unnecessary chemicals? I sure have, and realized one of the worst offenders is laundry detergent. That's why we switched to EarthBreeze laundry sheets. Their detergent sheets are free from harsh chemicals. No heavy plastic jugs, no mess, no harsh chemical residue. Just a lightweight, pre-measured sheet that dissolves in the wash and gets the job done. And yes, your clothes will still come out clean, fresh, and soft. But get this, most popular detergents are packed with harsh chemicals that can irritate your skin, mess up your hormones, and cause allergic reactions. And the craziest part? These chemicals don't even clean your clothes. They just trick your eye into thinking your laundry looks brighter. You can actually see them under a black light. If you want a powerful clean without harsh chemicals, try EarthBreeze. Right now, you can try EarthBreeze for up to 40% off, plus 4 free gifts at our link in the description or by scanning the QR code on the screen.
One of the details that I love in my tiny home is these unique shelves. And the reason why these shelves came into being is that the counter stuck out farther than the cabinet could go. I thought, oh, what a perfect place to put these shelves. So sometimes you end up with little moments, little mistakes, and you have to figure out how to fix them, and this was a fix. So, and I actually love these. It turned out to be a really great mistake. Below, you're going to see my heat source. And this heat source is just electric. For a long time it worked great, and it still works great. Building a house right now, I would totally put in a mini split. I would have a heater and an air conditioner. When I built my house in 2018 in Portland, we never got temperatures above 90 degrees. Now, with climate change, we absolutely do. There are definitely days, instead of staying at my tiny house, that I flee to Scott's house, my partner, and use his air conditioning because it's a little bit too hot in the house. Luckily, with the position of the house on the property, however, most days it stays pretty cool in here because by the time the sun actually gets over the tiny house, you're in shade, and it actually works great. So over here is my dining room table, my workspace, my art studio, all the things I use a table for. The table folds out of the way when it's not in use and easily folds down, and I support it with this removable leg. I really love this workspace. It functions great. One of the things about it though is because I do fold the table up when it's not in use, I definitely have to put all the things away at the end of the night. So sometimes that can be a little bit of a pain. But I'll tell you one thing, it keeps me really organized. I went through divorce back in 2012, and up until that point I had lived in a regular size house, and in fact my ex-husband and I spent 3.5 years remodeling it to triple the size of it, sort of in the bigger is better. When I went through the divorce, I ultimately ended up selling most everything I had. I moved into a smaller apartment with my sister, and then I had the opportunity to walk the Camino de Santiago. So the Camino de Santiago is a pilgrimage route, and my sister and I decided that we needed to walk it, and I really wanted to walk it as a way to kind of process my divorce. A section of it is 500 miles. It can be much longer, but the most commonly walked route is the Camino Francés. And you walk from the border of France all the way to Santiago de Compostela, and in the process you're carrying everything on your back. And so this was the first time that I had lived for that long of a period of time with just very basic things. After the Camino, I really just had a different perspective. I had loved living so simply. So I'd always done art, but I started drawing in a journal for the very first time. And I ended up documenting my journey, drawing every single day of the Camino. So at the very end, I had this journal that was really this illustrated memory of my whole trip, which was amazing. And that was really, for me, the birth of kind of the type of art that I do now. It's pen and ink and watercolor, so it's very easy to transport. It's very minimal. I just really love that. So when I came back from the Camino, I wanted to do more of that. Ultimately, I ended up leaving my job in 2015, and I sold the rest of the things I had and put my small group of possessions in 5 boxes in a friend's garage and headed out with a one-way ticket back to Spain to walk another Camino. There are multiple Caminos. So I walked the Camino Portugués. Spent 1.5 years traveling, writing, drawing, just really kind of giving myself space and time to investigate that creative part of myself. The entire time, all I had with me was one small backpack. As I learned to live, again, very simply, the idea started to form in me that could I possibly do this in real life? There's an area above the back of my house that I call the attic. So it really is my storage space. I have my art up there, which is a little strange. So art is actually one of the only things from my prior life that I kept. So this is art that someday, if I do have a bigger house, that I will hang on my wall. But as you can see, because I chose to have so many windows in the house, I can't actually put a lot of art on the walls. And that is why it was important to me to have shelving and shelf space so I could actually display art on the shelves rather than on the walls. One thing that actually is important to say is I don't have any other storage anywhere else. I don't store things in my sister's garage or my mom's basement. Everything that I have is up there. It's kept me really, really minimal. I don't have a space to put something that I might buy and use later. So it makes me focus on using things now, which actually is really, really helpful if you want to kind of engage in the minimalist lifestyle. So as we go into the back of my house, you're going to see my fridge is on the left. I have kind of a medium-sized fridge, but it works perfectly. If I had more food in this fridge, it would spoil since it's just me. So I actually really like this size of fridge. I have a little space that I have some extra chairs. I have my broom and my mop in here as well. And then on this side, you can see I have my wardrobe. And I love this wardrobe for many reasons. One is it fits my clothes, which you'll see a lot of other tiny homes have quite small wardrobe spaces, or they just have boxes. I really wanted to have a full-size wardrobe. So not only do I have my clothes here, but I also have places to hang clothes that I'm drying. I don't use my dryer, which we'll talk about in just a moment. Underneath here, you can see that I have all my clothing storage here. In this next shelf, I have shoes. Right below that, I have additional storage. You'll notice that I actually have a hole right here. Goes right up into my attic. For one thing, it's really easy access. I'm really tall, so I can actually put things up in the attic without a ladder. The other reason that I have it is there is a window at the end of the house, and this hole lets more light into this area. If I didn't have that, it would feel a little closed in and a little dark, especially with my height. So we chose to create this hole for that purpose. So as we're walking through the house, you'll notice that there are so many things that are specifically geared towards me and my height. And my dad, Larry, who designed the house, as I said before, he was 6'9". And so as we were designing, he wanted it to work for him as well as me, because he didn't want to have to come and visit me in my tiny house and have to bend his head. So that's why everything is so customized to me and works so well for a tall person. Next to my fridge, I actually have open shelving that has quite a number of things. I have my pantry on drawers that actually roll out, and art supplies. I have my towels and my sheets down below. Some folks would argue that I should have this covered up, but I don't mind looking at the things as long as they're organized. For me, I decided that I really like the accessibility more than having everything closed off. The last bit of shelving is also more storage. I have cleaning supplies. This is actually my laundry basket. This is all my jewelry is displayed here. One of the things about this washer-dryer combo is that it is ventless, and so when it dries the clothing that's in it, it makes it into like a little hard pancake. So that's part of the reason that I would probably opt to just buy a washing machine if I was doing this again. I literally used this dryer, and I'm not kidding you, one time. And so I have literally never used the dryer again. I hang my clothes here in the wardrobe. So the first thing that you'll notice about my bathroom is that there isn't a bathroom door. And originally when we designed this space, the plan was to have a glass partition, something opaque, something that you couldn't see through that would kind of slide back and forth. But as you all might know, when you get to the end of doing any project, you kind of run out of money, and the glass door was quite expensive, so we decided to opt out. I decided to opt out. My wallet decided to opt out, and because I'm here in this space by myself, really I don't need it. I haven't missed it. When I have friends over, I send them next door to Tom's if we need it, but otherwise it's been great, and it really opens up this space not to have a partition. Definitely something unique to my house, but it works for me. So over here we have my toilet, and above it we have my countertop, and the reason why that's done is to obviously save space. I designed this piece myself so I could have some drawers for makeup, and I used the scrap from where the sink was cut out to have that countertop match. Because this is such a small space, I really wanted to have some consistency with materials. I really loved the placement of this mirror. That's again something I decided to do last minute. Having it be two-sided actually kind of reflects a little better and opens up the space. It works great for me. So I really like the placement of the sink above the toilet. It works great from a design point of view. And I like the functionality of being able to use it after I've used the restroom. However, because the kitchen sink is so close, I end up using them both, probably equally. And I think in a tiny house, that's pretty common. So something that's really unique about my tiny house is this movable wardrobe that in actuality is right above the shower. So the shower is one of the least used spaces in a tiny house. The idea was that by combining the wardrobe and the shower space, it would be much more space efficient. You'll notice that there are no shower walls, so I have an extra wide and extra long shower curtain that goes all the way around the shower and covers the entire space so that no water gets out. Another unique thing about this shower is that I just chose a European shower head, so I can have it in the position to be able to wash it, or I can have it up above in the bracket. And I made it tall enough so that I can actually get under the water and enjoy a shower, which is pretty unique with my height. My house from soup to nuts was right around $70,000. not inexpensive by any means. I used all new materials, partly because I wanted all of the wood to be of a similar nature. I tried to use my own labor, obviously my family's labor. I decided when I was traveling that I would go against all financial advice and I would take money out of my 401k. So I chose to take that money out and pay cash for everything. And I don't regret that decision at all. One of the biggest things when I came back from traveling and building the tiny house, my goal was to be able to devote more time to my creative life. In that, I knew I needed to have less overhead. So when I built the tiny house, that basically took rent and mortgage off the table. I do pay a very small amount to Tom. He's very generous, so I have a very minuscule amount of rent that I pay to him on a monthly basis. For most people, if you take that off the table, that frees up so much income. Right now, I have a part-time job. It's 20 hours a week, and I can pay for all my expenses. That leaves free time that I can devote to my creative life, and really anything I want. But it did take me a while to get here. It wasn't just build the tiny house, find the perfect job. It's taken 7 years for me to find that balance. So one of the things that was really wonderful, as I mentioned before, that came out of the Camino was this drawing and this journal art that I did. And so when I got back from the Camino, I really wanted to continue doing that. And being that I live in a tiny house, I don't have another studio space. So it actually fit really well for me to have a very small, compact way of creating. I've continued to do journal art as my main form of art for these last 7 years. And in the process of doing that, I share it with people. I've just started doing commissions. One would be a house portrait or a travel journal photo or any type of photo of any special memory or special place. So the 2 courses that I have currently online are the Art of Noticing Travel Journal course and the Art of Noticing for the Pilgrim on the Camino de Santiago. So the reason I created the courses is that we all go, we take photos when we travel, and we get back, and sometimes we look at those photos and we don't even know exactly where they took place. I love a good photo, don't get me wrong, but when I was on the Camino and I sat down to draw, it made me way more present to the moment. It makes you aware of everything around you, not just the sights, but the smells, the sounds, how the air feels. I like to say when we do that, we're capturing the essence of a moment. We're not trying to capture a perfect rendition of it, because that's what the camera's for, but it's really to capture the essence. That's kind of what I'm trying to share with folks, and the whole goal is to be more present in our own lives. The idea of being present really runs through everything that I do, and living in a tiny house is an absolute extension of that. So because I'm not tied down by what I own, living in a small space, it actually does force you out more. Force sounds like a very harsh word, but it enables you to be able to give focus to other things. One of the things that I love about where I live is that I live next door to some of my best friends. Tom is one of my dearest friends, and his invitation to live here was not just an invitation to put a house on his lawn. It was really an invitation to be part of a community. And one of the things that was so amazing is during COVID, where everyone was so isolated, if I had been in a different property, I probably would have been very isolated. But we had our little pod, and we would cook every Monday night. I get the best of both worlds. I get to have my space, and then I get to have community with incredible people. I feel very, very lucky.
Thanks for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian, and this is our DIY tiny house on our homestead in Oregon.
Looking for more tiny inspiration? Watch these videos. But if you're looking for something specific, visit our channel homepage to browse tiny homes by category.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Hope to see you soon.